I'm Ramin,
I'm Dan,
and we're two
blokes
and a mic.
Oh,
we almost made this. At some point, we're gonna have to try and get this. When we get back together in person, that will be synchronized. Right. So today we have a.
I wouldn't count on it.
No, I wouldn't either. So today we have a special episode. We have a great person with us today, Victor Chin, who's the, if I'm correct, director of product over at Splashtop. Is that correct, Victor?
Yes. How you doing?
Say hi to everybody. Victor has graciously agreed to join us for this. We want to interview him about his company, his product, which, by the way, just full disclosure, both Dan and I use the product, and yes. No, we're not getting paid to do this. We use the product in our day-to-day operations to run our IT companies, and are very pleased with the product. So without further ado, allow me to introduce Victor Chin. Victor, take it away, sir. Welcome. Two blokes and a mic.
Thanks for having me here at Two Blokes and a Mic. I'm just happy to have the opportunity to talk to you both and also share some of our company background on Splashtop with all of your audience and colleagues. So it's great to be here. Splashtop itself has been around since 2006. We've started out actually more on the virtualization concept originally, and then we evolved, and we'll go into more details later when about the whole background of it, but we evolved into a more remote access software company. And we started that around 2010-ish, and we originally started out actually from a personal point of view, meaning that we actually focused more on interface, ease of use, frames per second, in order to actually give it to the personal pro user concept, as opposed to like the business orientation first. So it's more from ease of use, cost, as well as also being able to like stream your videos and so forth. Back in the day, you just had VNC, which is really choppy.
I remember VNC.
Like,
oh yes, VNC.
Command lines,
command lines, setting the frame rate, setting the all
secure shell and no audio, shell. Right?
Correct, no audio.
Yep. So we were kind of targeting to be like a prosumer, pro user kind of powered up version of VNC, and to our end users, customers. We actually started out originally on the iPad store first, to be able to allow people to connect back to their computers, see their videos, their music, access to all of their content in this pro user concept. And then, we started moving more into the business line, right. Focusing on more of the features and functionalities that you guys are using today, in fact. So to be a lot more convenient and all the capabilities you need in order to actually run your business, as well as...
Yeah. So the interesting thing is, I ran into Splashtop in the early days when you guys had your office in where I think you're still there, right? The office in San Jose.
Yes.
And I had one of Rhino's clients was across the hall from you guys on that second floor. And I used to walk downstairs periodically to do something, and some of your engineers would be out there smoking and having a conversation. And I'm like, so what company are you guys from? And they'd be like, from Splashtop. I'm like, that sounds good. What do you guys do? And so they showed me the iPad version. I was like, that could be something someday. Fast forward. Here we are.
Yes. It's been a journey for ups and downs, but yes, here we are. In fact, not too long ago, we were announced as a unicorn. So
nice.
So pretty very, very cool.
That is very cool. Yeah.
So we had used one of your competitors in the past, and they became more and more expensive. And so we moved over to your product. It was primarily for cost reasons. But since that time, things have progressed, and you've added more and more functionality. So could you tell us a little bit about your roadmap, your goals, and everything else for the future?
Great. Yes, we are definitely more focused on business and enterprise. So we've been scaling our architecture to support larger and larger numbers of endpoints as well as users. And then on the feature side, we've been listening and talking to companies such as yourselves, like Rhino Networks, to understand more and more what kind of the features you're actually looking for. So we've started to add in some RMM type of functionality. For instance, we have inventory for software and hardware that you can collect inventory, so you can see what's on each system, as well as doing Windows updates, supporting Windows updates, being able to schedule them, as well as knowing whenever there's an update that needs to be pushed out. In addition to that, we do support what we call one-to-many functionality. So you're able to make command calls or push down certain actions to all your systems at one time. So you can configure a update or a patch and then send it all out to all your machines at one time instead of having to connect.
That's useful.
In. Yes, yes. And again, it came from a lot of your feedback and all the other customers' feedback on what they need.
Yes.
So we've been moving into this direction where we're trying to provide more and more of some of this functionality. I mean, that the primary use case is remote access. So whenever you need to get basically that's your end all, right? If you ever need to solve an issue, if you have remote access, you can solve it all anyways. But we've been trying to find ways to be able to add things where you don't have to remote in. For instance, this whole command shell without actually remoting and controlling the systems itself. So then it saves you guys more time.
I understand that you also can manage and maintain an antivirus, so you can push that out to your endpoints as well. Is that right?
That's correct. We're partnering with Bitdefender and more recently WebRoot, so providing you guys options on which antivirus software you guys want to use, and then providing that through our interface. And then it also provides some integration with our software so that you'll be able to tell, besides being protected, what are the messages that are coming up from the antivirus, so you can check on them and see if it's important to resolve right away or you can handle later, etc.
You mentioned Windows updates. Are you also doing third-party application updates?
We're not currently supporting third-party updates yet, but
Is
you
that
will.
on the roadmap?
That is something on our roadmap.
Okay.
But just keep in mind we have a pretty big roadmap. So
yes, a lot going on.
So it is something we are looking into. But I mean, obviously, with the Windows updates, we can check and verify more easily. Right now, with the inventory, the software inventory is one way that you can kind of get some idea right now. But it is something we're looking into for supporting other updates in terms of patches and so forth. We may have to do partnering versus trying to build something like that from scratch, because that'll take a long time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so you have like a lot of the bases covered from a traditional RMM standpoint. Obviously, the bigger players or the more established players in the RMM market have a lot of other features, and there's a lot more power there. But in terms of the low-hanging fruit, that seems as though you've covered most of those.
That is exactly the idea, because we're trying to support customers like yourselves, which with all of the remote access and RMM capabilities at a economic price, a reasonable price, right? So we're not trying to compete against all those big RMM partners, because yes, they have been working and developing their softwares for years. And so they have a lot of functionality, a lot of capabilities. But like you pointed out, we're going to try to hit the major pieces that are needed and allow our customers to have access to it, and hopefully it'll be very economical and reasonable for them to go in that direction.
One of the things that I think that I love from your offers or your features is the ability to remote into mobile OSs.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
Many of the other RMMs do not offer that feature. Many do. But could you tell us a little bit more about your direction in terms of mobile? Because, next generations are all mobile. And anyway.
No,
tell me a little bit more about
that. No, that's great. That's a good point. So our mantra has always been to provide remote access from any device to any device. And so, as you pointed out, mobile is a big part of that. Android and iOS. With Android devices in general, we can remote into and have control, in fact, for most of those devices. So you can, even in an unattended fashion, meaning nobody there. So there can be an agent that's running in the background and you'll be able to connect in. With iOS, go ahead.
So for an organization that's standardized on iOS and wants to hand their people Android phones,
my question was going to be, what if the device is locked?
So even if it's locked, you can connect in, and then you can actually get the keyboard to show the security code section where you can type in or do that little signature, whatever you do to unlock.
Right. Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
And in this case, you would use the mouse as your finger. You hold it down and just move it along.
Right.
Yeah.
So
kind of cool, actually. Yeah. I think so. You can also get into iOS devices, but it requires user interaction, right? So they have to
exactly. Unfortunately, with Apple, we don't have a lot of control of how we can get it. So we actually don't have any control with Apple devices. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's no one who has control of Apple devices right now in terms of mobile devices.
Yeah, they don't allow that, actually.
Exactly. So you can only view at this time.
Right.
But with the Android devices, we do have control. In fact, very early on, we worked with a customer that was like in the truck driving business. So, they have the whole export and they have their, tablets sitting on there, all the truck drivers, and they want to go in and update maps or, check on where they are, etc. So they actually use our services to go in and see and remote in and maintain their tablets.
That's a use case. That's a really good use case. Yeah, it's great. So that's all part of your. So you have two offerings, right? You have the standard Splashtop, which is remote access to computers and laptops and things like that. But you also have an what you call the SOS product, which is the on-demand support thing. So somebody says, "Hey, my thing broke. You can get in."
That's exactly right. So the unattended, supports both MSPs where you want to connect into servers or workstations and do maintenance or anything else you need to do. At the same time, you can use the SOS as more ad hoc, sort of like a help desk center. So, or even you can use it, even yourselves can use it for just your own users, because maybe they have BYOD, bring your own devices.
Right. And
they're using that to connect into your actual corporate systems. But sometimes you might need to help resolve their problems on their side.
Yeah.
On their BYOD devices.
It's interesting because we had a situation actually yesterday in my organization where one of the machines we have control over, one of my engineers logged in and said, "Hey boss, take a look at this." And I tried to log in because it allows you can log in multiple times and see the same thing. And it wouldn't let me in at all. It just wouldn't let me in. So I said, "Hey, just try SOS." So he sent me an SOS code and I got in instantly. So he was logged in via Splashtop and I got in via SOS to the same machine. So we could both see what was happening and we both had control over the device.
Yep, exactly. So it's complementary with the SOS and the unattended use case, so that you can do these cases like you mentioned, where you need to get into a system or you need more connectivity into a system. So you can actually fix and solve and see the problems. And again, the unattended piece actually doesn't install. So once they close down the app, it's gone. There's no footprint, nothing there. So nothing to worry about in terms of that. Or in fact, if you're the person at the other device, there's a standard user, for instance, they can't install anything. So that's just fine.
Yeah, it works just beautifully that way. The other thing that we use that wasn't there initially when we first started doing the unattended stuff, that is there now, is the ability to create an install package on a per customer basis that's invisible to the user.
During the
so
pandemic,
Splashtop streamer is running kind of thing. It's just there.
Extremely busy at the beginning.
But they don't know that it's there. We can see it on our end, but the user doesn't know that it's there.
Exactly, because obviously a lot of your times your customers, you want to not necessarily let them know about it because they may
Splashtop has been
people like to mess with stuff
during 2020.
that they shouldn't be doing. So yes, again, feedback that came from you guys and other customers that they need a way to not show up. So we had options exactly like you said, so it doesn't show up. It's not in the system tray. I mean, it is in a service running, but if they're smart enough to figure out that's in a service, they should be smart enough not to mess with it anyways.
Correct, exactly.
So
at least
yes.
you would hope. Yeah. Well, and then the beauty of it is that if a machine goes offline and we realize it's been uninstalled, we then tell their managers, and they're like, "Tell your people not to touch stuff," and then we so reinstall it. Don't touch that thing.
Yeah,
You're a bad
exactly.
man.
So,
yeah.
During the pandemic, obviously as an IT company, we were extremely busy at the beginning, getting everyone set up with remote access. We used your platform for a lot of our clients to allow them to remote into their office computers. Could you tell us a little bit about how Splashtop has been transformed during 2020, and the biggest changes that you've seen?
Oh, yes. So as you pointed out, once the pandemic hit, we were all extremely busy. People needed to work from home, so they were looking for remote software that was affordable. And so obviously a lot of them came to us, and we helped them to get set up and started. But one of the customers that actually came to us was schools, which, I mean, they're not exactly work from home, but they actually wanted to provide their students access.
Oh, sure.
Because now their kids cannot be available on campus. They can't go to the labs in order to do their projects or their homeworks. Because, a lot of times nowadays, a lot of their homeworks and projects are actually online. And then some of those classes require specialized equipment or specialized software. And then the licensing of those specialized software is usually quite expensive. So now these students who are now stuck at home, they don't have access to it. So they were looking to us as for ideas. So after hearing about it from quite a few of the schools, we started looking into ways to create a virtual lab scenario so that the students can be virtually there from their home. So now, kind of similar to your work from home status, they log in, they connect in, they see now a pool of the lab computers as if they walked into the lab.
Into the lab, yep.
Exactly, and then they just pick one of those that's not, and we have little indicators that show which ones are in connection. So it's like when they see somebody in front of a computer, they go to another one that's open, and then they would do that, and then they could get access to the labs. And as you mentioned, we did support multiple connections to one computer, but we turned that off for their specific scenario, or they turned it off because obviously they don't want kids working on the same computers.
Sure, yeah.
So we had all these different concepts and ideas come back from them, and we created this whole remote lab scenario. And then it's been working really well, but also along this whole lines with things improving and vaccination coming along, we also added functionality that we call for supporting the hybrid, which is that some students are there, some students are not. So we have ways to detect if a computer is logged in physically, and then that will get prevented from being available to the remote users.
Nice.
So it's a way that, again, to keep them from intermingling, but also allow them to support this hybrid model going forward as well.
So is that something that can be turned on and off from inside the main control panel?
Exactly, exactly. Nice. It's a configuration, and then we make it configurable by the users themselves, customers themselves, so they can control. Because in your cases, you want to have multiple connections.
Yeah.
And in their cases, they want to limit it and control it. So we even have fine-tuned some flags in the sense of that they only allow what they call members, which would be the students, to only have single connections. Not so they can't even have more than one connection, because unfortunately, students, they tend to want to, I think the terminology is troll.
Yeah.
So we needed to have additional flags in to prevent that trolling. So they only have one connection allowed to any computer at a time.
Right.
While the admins, the administrators, which could be the teachers or the IT professionals, they can connect into multiple.
They can connect in multiple. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
So these are some of the learnings.
To call that, don't mess with it. Now they have a name for it, trolling. Okay, fair enough.
So we have also had the I don't know what the right word is, but the challenge of improving security for traditional systems as well. And one of the things that we had looked at in terms of security holes was VPNs. primarily because when you establish the VPN, as you know, you're establishing a tunnel from a potentially unknown computer to your office network. Whereas a product like Splashtop puts a barrier in there, and so there's no sort of direct tunnel. You go through a conduit to get back down. Has that something that has grown your business as well, purely in terms of a security need?
That's a great question, actually. And security in general has always been a concern with all of our customers. So from day one, we've always been thinking about security. In fact, our main architecture, as you pointed out, we have connections to our cloud servers. So they use TLS, AES encryption. And then actually, once that connection is are established to our cloud servers, they then pass keys so that it's actually end-to-end encryption through our relay servers. So even we don't even see unencrypted data. So there's nothing for us to be like a man in the middle for.
So it is then by definition HIPAA, FINRA, FERPA, SEC, SOC 2, ISO compliant.
Yes, we do support all of those exactly in terms of compliance. We technically are, I don't know if they would technically be considered like HIPAA or whatever compliant, because we never grab any of your data. So the only thing we have are screenshots that are passed through, which are encrypted, which, so again, we don't even know what it is. It's just ones and zeros.
Right.
So we never actually have any of your data pulled from your machines.
Right.
So,
you know, many of these compliance options are just, you know, they just want to see the encryption. They want to see the security. They want to see that any tunnels do not allow any sort of leakage or any potential weak points. And so I think you're absolutely right that none of them specifically are HIPAA or other compliant needed, but the conduit,
they meet the requirements.
They meet those requirements.
They meet those requirements, which is perfect for me, because I actually we just went through a SOC 2 certification and an ISO certification for one of our clients, and that was the question. You know, tell us about this Splashtop software. So it was
great
to be able to with confidence say, yep, you're covered, and here's why. Was a huge thing, because it helped us move the needle forward for that customer.
Perfect. Yes, you mentioned too, we do have our site on compliance to explain, like you said, for HIPAA, SOC 2, and PCI, etc. In fact, there's SOC 3 documents you can get from us as well.
Cool. Can I will get the link for that site from you after this is over, and I will post it in the show notes so that people can access it at their leisure.
Great.
So so this has been for us a very useful tool. I have to say it is literally what we use every day to get our job done. And
that's great to hear.
It's been a pleasure, and you know, for me, the other thing that I love about these guys, I have to say it because I'm a user, right? And is I pick up the phone and someone answers the damn thing.
Yes,
that doesn't happen in other companies. Everybody's going. In fact, I called a company today for something, and they're like, "Oh, we only answer the phone if you have a sales question. If you want support, you need to use the chat on our website." I was like, "I'm going to figure out where you are and slap you in the head." This whole thing that support is somehow a bad thing is just awful. You need to take care of the people, and that's why I continue to use and promote you guys, is because I can pick up the phone and someone actually answers the phone and says, "Let me take care of this for you."
Yes, exactly. We appreciate your service, your support in all of this, and we do want to support all of our customers as much as we can. So we've been always big emphasis on the support side to talk to you. And to create even beyond that too, a knowledge base. So we have a huge knowledge base of information as well. So that's a lot of it is available to you, a lot of the information, but we're still available for phone calls, chat if you like it, either one, any one of those channels.
It's there if you want it.
Exactly.
No, and it's been great. It's been a very, very useful tool, because I can get my problem resolved. If I run into an issue at a client site, I can pick up the phone and I know someone's going to answer the phone.
Fantastic.
That's important to me.
Great.
Maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned. You know, maybe all this gray hair on my face says, you know, I'm too old to do this whole fancy schmancy chat bot nonsense. But you know, I like an old-fashioned phone call. Yeah.
No, those are good. And actually, in a lot of ways, you can get things solved faster a lot of times when you're just
Yeah,
talking to
way
somebody.
faster.
Mhm.
So no, this has been wonderful. So Victor,
I have one more.
oh, he's
quick
got another one.
question.
All right.
Of course, please.
Do
And
it,
I'm
man.
not sure if you're allowed to ask or answer rather, but is there anything on the roadmap that for 2021 that is coming up that is going to blow us away?
We tend to do more incremental improvements right now, just because we're, like I mentioned, some of our competitors have been there for many years longer than we have. So we're still trying to add more and more features that some of the bigger enterprise customers are looking for. And so those tend to be more incremental changes as opposed to like revolutionary changes. But at the same time, we're still looking into different areas where remote access can improve and everyone's life usage. So we'll be seeing that how we can do that in some other ways in products, but primarily from the use case that you're talking about, the services that we provide, it'd be more incremental. So for instance, I think recording, being able to record into the cloud, being able to capture notes after each remote session. Some little things like this, but actually very useful to be able to note down what you did in the last session, or a technician to note down what they did in that last session, so you have it as a record. So these are kind of the incremental changes that are coming for sure right now.
Right.
And recently we did start supporting USB redirection and microphone redirection, or microphone pass-through.
Oh yes, I've seen that as I've installed the agent on machines. It says, "Do you want to allow the use of the microphone?"
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can, for instance, use like an iPad or something and connect into a system, and then you want to use it for sending your microphone over to the remote system. There's some practical use cases with multimedia, because everyone working from home, even the studios are working from home.
Right.
And so they have their talent who is talking and
Right.
doing their voiceovers and so forth. So that's one of the use cases for that.
Fantastic.
Do you have any news kind of information or a news release about that functionality? I'd love to be able to post that information.
Yeah, I can send you. There's actually the latest release, and then there probably is also a PR release. I'll have to look it up and I'll find for you.
Cool.
Newsletter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, give us as much as you got, because we'll post the links in the show notes for people.
Okay, perfect.
We want to make sure that they have all the information they need. And so if one of our clients wants to take on Splashtop and use it for their own remote work purposes, who do we send them to? Do we send them to you? Do we send them to our friend Italo, who's in your sales team?
Italo is probably the best one to contact for getting new customers online. He'll bring me in if any technical questions that I can help with. Of course, I know you could probably answer almost all of those anyways.
Yeah, but but if the customer wants to make a purchase, I want to make sure that they have access to somebody who can take care of them.
Yes. So we should connect them with Italo to help them out.
Okay, Italo's a great guy. He's the guy that actually before I started using Splashtop, Dan introduced me to Italo.
Oh, awesome!
And then he and I got connected, and we still talk all the time. It's just. He's a great guy. He's a great resource, as I found everybody at Splashtop is. So thank you, Victor, for coming in today. This has been awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Do you have any questions for us?
Oh, do you run into any other problems, or what kind of other features do you want to see from Splashtop?
He wants third-party patch. I know that.
Okay.
I want everything. He
wants everything.
I want backup. I want the whole shebang. Just want to click a button and then I can walk away. That's what I want. But maybe next year. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we should be able to get some of those.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting fantasy life you live in.
Hey, you don't dream big, right?
Dream is one thing, but All right,
got a dream.
cool.
Got a dream.
Yeah, got a dream. Absolutely.
Yes, I mean, that's how we all start, and then that's where we move towards in that direction.
That is correct. Yes, absolutely correct. Well, Victor, thank you for coming in. This has been an awesome interview. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to bring us up to speed with what's happening at Splashtop. We will, as promised, put all the links to various things that we talked about in the show notes. And so that you can reach out if you need to the team over at Splashtop, and they're happy to answer any questions. If you have questions, as always, you guys can reach out to us. Leave questions in the show notes, and we will, if you need contact, we will provide you with contact, man. That's what we're here for. So that's it for now. This has been another episode of Two Blokes and a Mic. And for a change, we created an episode that didn't waste people's time. How about that? So this is Ramin, and I'm signing out.
And this is Dan. Thank you very much, Victor.
I think I woke Dan up.
You did. Yeah. Damn it.
All right. Take care, guys. Thank you all. Again, thanks everybody for watching, and please let us know what else you want to talk about. We're happy to produce any episodes you like. This has been Two Blokes and a Mic, and we're out. Take care. Bye.